YouTube, what's happening? Don't we have enough to worry about as parents? I mean, I would like to think so. You got too much stress on your hands as is, dealing with your kids on a daily basis, trying to make sure you raise them the proper way, trying to make sure they make it to school on time, trying to make sure you have enough money for the things they need, trying to make sure their hair is properly combed, they look nice, they look moisturized. I mean, come on, man. It's a lot of things you got to worry about when it comes to children. One thing we really have to understand as parents, and I think this goes for any age group, because you never stop being a parent, first of all. We got to keep an eye on our children. And I know that some of us have older children and they get to do not whatever they want, but be more independent. But that doesn't mean you don't speak to your child. You don't try to understand what they're doing. And I know relationships can get severed as they get older. Some of them don't want anything to do with us. I understand that. But we got to take our best foot forward continuously. Because no matter how they feel about us, we have to feel a certain way about them. Those are our babies out there. So regardless of how they're treating you, we got to understand something. They're always going to be our baby, regardless of what the world says, regardless of sometimes even what they say. And I wanted to get on here and speak about just keeping an eye on our children. Because there's a lot of things happening. I just read a story that just completely turned my stomach. Actually, I saw a video of it. It was of this 29-year-old woman. She took an Uber, and the Uber driver ended up unaliving this woman. Straight up. Now, I used to work for Uber. I used to do it back in the day. I used to do it for about over a year and change. And I know during my time of working with Uber, there never really was any safety upgrades. Like they never said, oh, we're offering this kind of training. We're offering this kind of incentive to do this kind of training to protect yourself. It was never anything like that. So I don't know how Uber is now, but I can see based on this story, they haven't done much. And honestly, stories like this, I'm not saying there's no possibility of things like this happening, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of carelessness in these companies, a lot of carelessness. That could have been mitigated in certain ways, like I just mentioned. Some kind of training, some kind of more background check on these drivers that's driving these vehicles. And I'm talking about an extensive background check. Not just, oh, you have a driver's license. Yeah, go ahead. Take the car. No, I'm talking about if you stole something when you're 6 years old, you can't drive for us. We got to get strict. We got to get, as ridiculous as that sounds, we got to get strict because someone's daughter doesn't have a life now. You know what I mean? We gotta take precautions. We gotta put our foot down when it comes to these things. There is no way in hell this should have happened like this. No way. And I feel like as time moves on, we're not taking precautions. A lot of these companies are just after your money, and they're not caring about liability. Well, maybe liability on their end. They're a little more cautious with that. But where's the liability going to be with this case? What's going to happen with Uber going forward? Because it's a disgusting case. It just blows my mind how, and this is not the only case. There's been plenty of other cases all around the world where it's like involving companies and it just feels like nothing is being done, or at least it's not proclaimed into a bullhorn for everyone to hear about. You know what I mean? But I'm just ranting right now because it's really frustrating, and I'm coming on here also to warn you guys. We as parents, we just got to be more vigilant. Now that woman, she's a grown woman. She's 29 years old. She's a grown woman. But there's things that she probably could have done. I don't know her. I don't know her full story, but there's things that I can think of that could be done in instances like that to make sure you share your ride. So if you're getting into a stranger's car, you need to be sharing your location with the closest person with you so they can keep track of where you are and what's going on. Even be on the phone with someone while you're inside of a stranger's car. Be on the phone. You don't know this person. Be on the phone with someone you trust. So therefore, the person that's on the phone can verify and make sure you're okay. I'm just throwing out things to kind of mitigate something like this from happening, you know? But going on the topic of just watching our children, right? This is more specifically for younger kids now. We need to be vigilant. Sex trafficking is one of the most common trafficking out here. You understand? And it can happen at the blink of an eye. You could be on your phone texting your boss, and your child is 30 feet away from you all of a sudden, and you have no idea that white van that was sitting on the curb was watching you, was watching your child. And they wait for opportunities like that to strike. And we got to understand this. It's a serious thing. We have to be more vigilant. We can't afford, first of all, don't worry about people saying, oh, you're the paranoid parent. Honestly, what is paranoid about wanting your babies to come back home? What is paranoid about wanting to just make sure your baby's all right? Tell me. Are those same people going to be calling you paranoid when your child disappears and you can't find them? Are they going to still call you paranoid? I didn't think so. Because then what they're going to tell you? They're probably going to tell you thoughts and prayers with a hashtag without actually giving you a thought or prayer. Let's be real. Come on, let's be real. That's what a lot of them are going to do. Oh, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to go home. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to be thinking about you. I hope everything, God is going to work it out. He is, but he's not working it out the way you're talking about. But we got to be in alignment with what our goal is as parents. I'm not saying we can stop everything. We can't watch every little thing, but you can be more alert. When you're outside with your child, you can be more alert. There are people that strategically sit with their back against a restaurant wall so they can guard and watch everybody walk in. There are people like this. And kudos to them, because they know we don't live in a world where it's all peaches and cream with whipped cream on top. No. We don't live in that kind of world. We live in a world where people are pedophiles. We live in a world where there's a bunch of traffickers walking around here. We live in a world where there's a bunch of racist people that are your firefighters, your police officers, your neighbors. You know what I mean? This is the world we live in. We live in a world where judges make these godlike decisions on someone's life, putting them away for many years. In the back of their mind, they knew that person was innocent. But yet, the very next day, they're shaking your hands, and you had no idea what they did after they slammed that gavel down. This is the world we live in, guys. And we got to be more vigilant. Self-awareness. Start teaching this to your children as young as they can understand it. I'm trying to teach that to my daughter, my oldest daughter right now. Be aware of your surroundings. If you see somebody that looks funny or weird, and I create examples, because anybody could look weird to a 8-year-old. but I try to create examples, and I ask her questions while we're in the street. What would you do? Sometimes I started off like this. What would you do if X happened and then Y happened? I just try to create little small examples just to get her thinking. Because you got to get your child thinking, and you got to wait for a response without interruption. Let them answer. And then if they don't answer it the appropriate way, you explain to them why that answer was inappropriate. And you give them a reason. And you keep going on with this kind of training in every place you go with your child. Just to let them know, like, this is the world we live in. You don't want your child to be growing up thinking this whole world is an entire Disneyland. You don't want that. Especially black children. Especially black children. We don't have the luxury of doing that with our kids. There's certain luxuries that many other people can do with their children that we cannot. And I don't have to sit here and explain it. The black people that's on here listening, they understand it. Because what's factual doesn't need to be explained. So I'm just coming on here to really just dive deep, as deep as I can for the next couple of minutes, just to let you guys know, please watch your children. I was speaking to one of my boys. I was talking to him online through WhatsApp. And we was just going back and forth, like trying to just check on each other, see how we're doing. And he has 2 children as well. And he raises his children similarly like I do. Like, we're both parents that like to watch our children and make sure they're safe when they're in certain areas, especially when we're outdoors. Outside in an area where the world is a very dirty, sick place, we got to be more vigilant. We can't just let them roam the world without eyes on them. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is more specific for younger children. We cannot. You got to be vigilant. There are things that can happen within less than a second. Think about it. I'll give you an example. It's a nice sunny day, warm breeze. Everyone's wearing shorts, everyone's smiling. You go to the beach. Everybody's in the water. You let your small child go into the water. It's a crowded area and everyone's in the water. You turn your head for 1 second not to look at your child. Next thing you know, your child, unfortunately, loses their balance and falls underneath the water. Like, it just takes a second. That's the point I'm trying to bring to you guys. That's all it takes is a second. Sometimes even less. So we can't afford to just sit out here and lollygag and not pay attention to our surroundings. Teach your children how to cross the street. That's very important. That's an early skill your child should know. How do I cross a street? Do I just look one way and then cross? No, you gotta act like the child when you're walking with your child and you're about to cross. Tell your child, show me how I should cross this street. Make them give you examples on what they should do. And honestly, don't get fooled by a one-way. I have trust issues. I look both ways on a one-way street because I don't trust people. People will cut off on a one-way street to go that way, to make their life shorter, which will end someone's life and make their life shorter, unfortunately. So I look both ways. I don't care if it's a one-way street or not. But when you're crossing a street, what do your children do? Do they do this and then do this? That's still the wrong way. Because while they're doing this and then doing this, another car could be coming. You see what I mean? Like, it's crazy out here. It's no joke. And I know it's a lot. A lot of work to be a parent and try to show our children the ways of the world and try to show them the ways that they should walk, the path they should walk. But it's a job that we got to continuously do. Even after they move out of our house, our children are going to still need us in some form of way. They're still going to need us in some form of way. So we have to understand to move with each phase as our child/children get older. So I just wanted to come on here and give you guys my opinions and facts. Please watch your children. All right? Our children are our babies. And once they leave our home, they're not going to be anyone else's baby like ours. Understand this. The system, they don't care about your children. They don't care about you. So when your children act up, don't expect people to be as sympathetic as you are when you're home with your babies. Understand this. Please, if you like this video and I was really touching facts, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. Till next time. Peace.